Did you know that over £500 million in unclaimed pension benefits goes to waste every year in the UK? Or that thousands of seniors get scammed daily, even though banks are legally required to protect them? And here's the kicker. Many people are unknowingly breaking the law just by going about their daily lives. Let me ask you this. Would you be fined for feeding pigeons in your own garden? Could you get arrested for not updating your will? Are you losing out on thousands of pounds in benefits without even knowing it? You'd be surprised how many seniors are completely unaware of recent UK laws that directly impact their pensions, healthcare, inheritance, and even their freedom. But here's the good news. By the time you finish this video, you'll be 10 steps ahead of the system. You'll learn about the biggest legal updates that could save you money, protect your rights, and keep you out of trouble. Some of these laws could change your life. Others might just shock you. So stick around, because missing even one of these laws could cost you big time. Number 1. The Pension Reform Act 2025. Let's talk about money, specifically your pension. The UK government has made major changes to pension rules in 2025, and if you're not paying attention, you could lose out on thousands of pounds. Here's what's happening. First, the state pension age is increasing again. If you were planning to retire soon, you might have to wait longer than expected. The government is phasing in delays, meaning some people will need to work extra years before they can claim their pension. This has left thousands frustrated, especially those who are counting down the days to retirement. Second, pension credits, the lifeline for many low-income retirees, have new eligibility rules. Some people who previously qualified might no longer receive them, while others could suddenly become eligible. Confused? You're not alone. That's why it's crucial to check your status immediately. And here's where it gets even more serious. New tax rules could mean a bigger cut of your pension goes to the government. If your pension savings exceed a certain threshold, you might be taxed more than ever before. The government says it's about fairness, but for seniors who have worked hard all their lives, it feels more like a financial penalty. But there's a way to stay ahead. If you're unsure about your pension rights in 2025, now is the time to speak to a financial advisor or check your state pension forecast online. You might discover hidden benefits you never knew you qualified for. The bottom line? Your retirement income is at stake, and these changes are happening whether you're ready or not. The sooner you understand the new rules, the better you can protect your money and your future. And trust me, you don't want to be caught off guard when it's too late. Number 2. The NHS Priority Access Policy. Here's something that might shock you. Every year, thousands of seniors pay for medical treatments that they should be getting for free. Yes, you heard that right. Many people have no idea that the NHS has rolled out new benefits for seniors. And if you don't know about them, you could be missing out big time. Let's start with prescriptions. If you're over 60, you probably already know that you get free prescriptions. But did you know that in 2025, the list of fully covered medications has expanded? That means some costly drugs that weren't previously covered are now completely free. But here's the problem, your GP won't always tell you this. If you don't ask, you might end up paying unnecessarily. And it doesn't stop there. Dental treatments are another major expense that many seniors struggle with. But now, new NHS policies are expanding free dental coverage for seniors in certain income brackets. If you qualify, you could get free checkups, cleanings, and even some treatments without paying a penny. And here's a big one. Priority GP appointments. If you're over 65, you may now be entitled to faster access to your GP, skipping the long wait times that have frustrated so many. But this isn't automatic. You need to register for priority access. If you don't, you could be stuck waiting weeks for an appointment when you could have gotten in much sooner. Bottom line, the NHS has introduced incredible perks for seniors, but they won't chase you down to tell you about them. You have to know your rights, ask the right questions, and make sure you're getting every benefit you're entitled to. And now, let me ask you, have you ever had to wait too long for a GP appointment or paid for a prescription that should have been free? Drop a comment below and let me know your experience. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because the next law could save you from getting scammed, literally. Number 3. Digital Banking and Fraud Protection Act. Imagine this. You wake up, check your bank balance, and suddenly hundreds, maybe even thousands of pounds are missing. You don't remember spending it. You didn't authorize any payments. It's just gone. Now, here's the part most people don't realize. Banks are legally required to protect you from fraud. But in 2025, new rules take this even further. Scammers are getting smarter. They're using AI-generated voices to impersonate your relatives. They're hacking online banking systems with alarming success rates. And worst of all, they're targeting seniors more than any other group. Why? Because they know that many older adults still prefer phone banking, trust traditional communication methods, and might not be as quick to recognize a scam. That's why the UK government is cracking down. Under the new Digital Banking and Fraud Protection Act, banks are now required to reimburse fraud victims faster, even if they were tricked into transferring money. No more waiting months for investigations. If fraud is detected, banks must act immediately or face serious penalties themselves. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Banks now must provide free fraud protection services to senior customers. This means you can request real-time fraud alerts, AI-powered scam detection, and even human fraud specialists assigned to your account, all at no extra cost. Most people don't know this, and many banks won't offer it unless you ask. And the best part? If a bank fails to protect you properly, they're legally obligated to pay you compensation. So if you're still using simple passwords, answering random phone calls, or clicking suspicious emails, it's time to change the way you bank. Because in 2025, staying safe isn't just a choice, it's the law. Number 4. Inheritance tax changes. Let's talk about something that most people avoid thinking about. What happens to your money, your home, and everything you've worked for after you're gone? Inheritance tax has always been a controversial topic, but in 2025, big changes are shaking up the system. If you don't understand these new rules, your family could end up paying thousands in unnecessary taxes. Here's what's different. The government has increased the inheritance tax threshold, meaning more of your estate can be passed on tax-free. Previously, if your assets exceeded £325,000, your heirs would have to pay 40% tax on anything above that. But now, that threshold has been raised, giving families a little more breathing room. And here's where it gets interesting. Certain exemptions have expanded. If you're passing your home to direct descendants, like children or grandchildren, you could qualify for an even higher tax-free allowance. That means a bigger portion of your estate stays with your family instead of going to the government. But don't celebrate just yet. If your will isn't up to date, you could still end up overpaying. The new laws have introduced tighter regulations on how assets are distributed. If your will doesn't clearly outline where your money and property should go, the government could take a bigger cut than necessary. And here's the real shocker. Digital assets are now taxable. That means any cryptocurrency, online investment accounts, or even digital businesses you own will now be included in inheritance tax calculations. Many people haven't accounted for this, meaning their families could face unexpected tax bills after they're gone. The bottom line? Estate planning isn't just for the wealthy, it's for anyone who wants to protect their family's financial future. If you haven't reviewed your will or inheritance plans in the last year, now is the time. Because when it comes to taxes, what you don't know can cost you. Number 5. Tenants' Rights Update. Renting as a senior in the UK has never been easy. High rents, unfair evictions, and landlords who refuse to make necessary repairs. It's a reality many older tenants have faced for years. But here's the good news. 2025 brings major legal changes that could finally give renters over 60 the protection they deserve. One of the biggest updates: stronger eviction laws. For too long, landlords have been able to use no-fault evictions, meaning they could kick tenants out without a valid reason. But this year, new rules make it much harder for landlords to evict tenants unfairly. If you've been renting in the same place for a long time, your landlord must now provide a legally justifiable reason before they can remove you. And what about repairs and maintenance? Under the new laws, landlords are now legally required to make their properties more accessible and senior-friendly. That means if you need a handrail installed, improved lighting, or even ramps for mobility reasons, your landlord must accommodate reasonable requests. If they refuse, you now have more legal power to take action. But here's where it gets even more interesting. For the first time, the UK government is introducing senior housing support programs aimed at helping older renters find affordable, stable homes. These initiatives will provide rent caps, financial aid, and legal assistance for seniors who are struggling with increasing housing costs. If you've ever worried about being priced out of your home, this could be a game changer. And for those who rely on housing benefits, there's another major shift. The eligibility criteria have expanded, meaning more seniors than ever before now qualify for extra financial help with rent. But as always, there's a catch. You have to apply for it. Many people will miss out simply because they don't know they're eligible. So, if you're renting, here's what you need to do. Check your tenancy agreement, know your rights, and find out if you qualify for these new benefits. Because in 2025, senior renters finally have more legal protection. But only if they use it. Number 6. Age-friendly workplace law. Imagine this. You've worked for decades, built up experience, and still have plenty to offer. But suddenly, you start getting fewer shifts, overlooked for promotions, or even subtly pushed out of your job. Sound familiar? Well, that's about to change. For years, older workers in the UK have faced age discrimination in the workplace. Employers have been able to sideline, underpay, or even force out workers over 60, making it harder for them to stay financially independent. But in 2025, a new law is changing the game. The age-friendly workplace law now makes it illegal for employers to discriminate based on age when hiring, promoting, or setting salaries. That means no more being passed over for promotions just because you're over 60. No more being pushed into early retirement against your will. No more lower wages just because of your age. And here's the best part. Employers now have to prove that they are treating older employees fairly. If a company is caught unfairly dismissing, underpaying, or discriminating against seniors, they could face heavy fines and legal action. But it doesn't stop there. Companies are now being incentivized to actively hire and retain older workers. Businesses that create senior-friendly work environments, offer flexible hours, or provide training for older employees can receive government-backed benefits and funding. This means more companies will be looking to hire experienced seniors instead of pushing them out. And if you're looking for a new job, this law makes it easier to find fair employment. Job applications can no longer ask for your age up front, meaning you'll be judged on your skills and experience, not your birth year. So if you've been feeling like the workplace is pushing you aside, 2025 is the year to stand your ground. Know your rights, challenge unfair treatment, and don't let anyone tell you that you're too old to work. Because now the law is on your side. Number 7. Free public transport for over 60s. Public transport is getting more expensive every year, and for many seniors, it's one of the biggest monthly costs. But what if I told you that thousands of older adults are paying for buses and trains when they don't actually have to? That's right. In 2025, new rules have expanded free travel benefits for seniors. The problem? Most people don't even know they qualify. Let's break it down. If you live in England, Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland, you might already be familiar with free bus passes for those over 60 or state pension age. But in 2025, more councils are offering extended travel perks, including free or heavily discounted train and tram travel. The catch? The rules vary depending on where you live. For example, in London, people over 60 can already apply for a Freedom Pass, which provides free travel across buses, trains, and even the tube. But in some other areas, eligibility depends on your local council's budget. That means some seniors get full benefits, while others miss out, just because of their postcode. And here's something most people don't realize. You have to apply for these benefits yourself. They won't automatically arrive in the post. Many seniors are still paying full price for public transport simply because they never filled out the necessary forms. But there's more. In 2025, some regions are experimenting with free off-peak travel for seniors. That means if you travel outside of rush hours, you could qualify for completely free rides, even if you didn't qualify before. Some councils are also offering companion passes, meaning your spouse or caregiver could travel for free with you. So here's what you need to do. Check your local council's website today and see what transport benefits are available for seniors in your area. Because if you're still paying full price to get around town, there's a good chance you're missing out on free travel. Number 8. Power of attorney simplification. Let's talk about something that too many people put off until it's too late. Power of attorney. Right now, if something unexpected happens, an illness, an accident, or even just age-related memory loss, who will make financial and medical decisions on your behalf? If you don't have power of attorney, POA, set up, your family might not have the legal right to help you. That means banks could freeze your accounts, even if your spouse or children need to access them to pay bills. Doctors might not take your family's wishes into account when making medical decisions for you. The government could step in, making decisions about your assets, health, and even your living situation. But here's the good news. In 2025, the UK has simplified the power of attorney process, making it easier, faster, and cheaper to set up. Previously, setting up a lasting power of attorney, LPA, was complicated, expensive, and took months to process. Now, the system has been streamlined, allowing people to apply online and get approved in a fraction of the time. You can now digitally register your LPA, meaning there's less paperwork, fewer delays, and instant access to legal proof when needed. And here's something most people don't realize. You don't need to be wealthy to have power of attorney. This isn't just for people with huge estates or complex finances. Even if you just have a bank account, a home, or any assets in your name, setting up POA ensures that someone you trust can manage your affairs if you ever need them to. But here's the catch. You have to set it up while you're still mentally capable. If you wait too long and lose mental capacity, your family will have to go through a lengthy and expensive court process just to gain the right to help you. So don't put this off. Check the new online system, set up your power of attorney now, and make sure your future is in the hands of someone you trust. Number 9. Digital Will and Online Asset Protection Act. Think about this. If something happened to you tomorrow, what would happen to your online accounts, digital money, and personal files? Most people assume their loved ones will just gain access automatically. But that's not how it works. In fact, thousands of online accounts, including banking apps, investments, and even social media profiles, are locked away forever when someone passes away, because no legal process existed to manage digital assets. But in 2025, the UK government is finally addressing this gap with the Digital Will and Online Asset Protection Act. For the first time ever, your online presence and digital finances will be legally recognized as part of your estate. That means your family can legally access your digital bank accounts, PayPal, and cryptocurrency wallets instead of losing them to strict platform policies. Your online businesses, websites, and even digital copyrights, like ebooks or online courses, can be passed down to heirs without legal battles. You can now include social media accounts, emails, and cloud storage in your will, giving your family the ability to manage or close them after you're gone. And here's the part most people aren't prepared for. Many online platforms delete or freeze accounts after long periods of inactivity. If your family doesn't have the right legal access, they might never recover important documents, sentimental photos, or even valuable assets. So what's changed? The new digital will process lets you legally name beneficiaries for all your online assets, just like you would for your house or savings. You can now specify who gets control of your emails, investment accounts, and even streaming subscriptions. But this isn't automatic. You have to take action. If you don't create a digital will, platforms like Google, Apple, and PayPal can still refuse access to your family, even if you have a traditional will in place. So if you have anything valuable stored online, whether it's money, files, or memories, it's time to protect it. Set up a digital will today, before your online assets disappear forever. Number 10. Antisocial Behaviour Law. Imagine this. It's late at night, you're trying to sleep, but your neighbors are blasting music like it's a nightclub. Or maybe it's the middle of the day, and you're dealing with constant shouting, reckless behavior, or even vandalism right outside your home. For years, seniors have struggled with disruptive neighbors and antisocial behavior, with little to no support from authorities. But in 2025, that's changing. The UK government has introduced stricter fines and penalties for antisocial behavior, making it easier than ever to take action against noisy, disruptive, or inconsiderate individuals in your community. Here's what's new. Harsher fines for excessive noise complaints, meaning if your neighbour keeps disturbing you, they could be hit with a fine of up to £1,000. Faster action on repeat offenders. If someone has a history of causing disturbances, local councils and police can intervene much sooner instead of waiting for months of complaints. New public nuisance laws, which means if someone is playing loud music, setting off fireworks at odd hours, or loitering in an intimidating way, authorities can now issue on-the-spot penalties. And here's the big one. Landlords are now legally responsible for dealing with tenants who cause trouble. If a tenant in a rental property repeatedly causes disturbances, their landlord must take action or face legal consequences themselves. That means fewer cases of problem tenants making life miserable for their neighbours. But what if your council isn't acting fast enough on your complaints? Under the new law, local authorities are required to respond to persistent antisocial behaviour complaints within a set time frame. If they fail to take action, you can escalate the case, forcing them to step in. So if you've ever felt powerless dealing with noisy neighbours, reckless teens, or public disturbances, you now have stronger rights than ever before. And the best part? The law is finally on your side. And there you have it, 10 UK laws that could change your life in 2025. Which one surprised you the most? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. We put a ton of effort into bringing you these important updates, so if you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, and it really helps us keep going. And before you go, don't miss our previous video on hidden senior benefits. You might be leaving free money on the table without even realizing it. Watch it now. Did you know that nearly 1 in 3 UK seniors miss out on financial support they're legally entitled to just because they didn't know the law changed? Even more shocking, thousands of pensioners pay for services they could get completely free, simply because no one told them what their new rights are in 2025. Now ask yourself, could that be you? Imagine this. You're paying hundreds in heating bills this winter, unaware that a brand new government scheme could have wiped most of it off. Or you've skipped an important GP appointment, not realizing you now have the legal right to ask for an in-person instead of a phone call. These aren't rare mistakes. They're everyday slip-ups, costing seniors across the UK money, comfort, and health. So here's the real question. How many of your rights have silently changed without you knowing? This isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Because 2025 has brought big changes. From pensions and prescriptions to digital wills and travel benefits. And if you don't keep up, you could be left behind. In this video, I'll break down the 15 essential UK laws every senior must know this year. Some will shock you, others will help you save or even reclaim hundreds. Stick around. What you discover today might just change everything. Number 1. State Pension Triple Lock Update. Let's kick off with the change that affects nearly every senior across the UK, the State Pension Triple Lock Update. If you're relying on your pension to make ends meet, this one's critical. The triple lock is a guarantee that your pension rises every year based on one of 3 measures, whichever is highest: inflation, average earnings growth, or 2.5%. It was created to protect your income from losing value over time, but 2025 has introduced a twist. This year, the government has adjusted how average earnings growth is calculated, removing irregular bonuses and distortions like pandemic wage spikes. On paper, this seems technical. In practice, it means your increase might be lower than expected, even though prices keep rising around you. The new rate? For 2025, the state pension will rise by 6.7%, which sounds decent, but when compared with the actual cost of food, rent, and fuel, it might fall short for many. Even more concerning, some analysts believe this adjustment could be a step toward watering down the triple lock over the next few years. That's why understanding these changes isn't just useful, it's urgent. So what should you do? Review your pension letter carefully. Don't assume the figure is accurate. Mistakes happen more than you think. Check your national insurance record online to make sure you're getting the full amount you're eligible for. If anything looks off or you're unsure, reach out to Citizens Advice or a pensions advisor. Remember, your pension isn't charity. It's a right you earned over decades. And in 2025, the smartest seniors are the ones asking questions. Number 2. Free prescription eligibility age. Here's a law change that's quietly slipped under the radar, but could hit your wallet hard if you're not paying attention. For decades, turning 60 in the UK meant one clear thing: free prescriptions. But not anymore. In 2025, the government has officially pushed the free prescription age in England from 60 to 66, aligning it with the state pension age. This means if you're between 60 and 65, you could now be paying £9.90 per item unless you qualify for specific medical exemptions. That might not sound like much, but if you take regular medication for blood pressure, diabetes, or arthritis, those costs add up fast. We're talking hundreds of pounds a year, all because of a quiet legal update. So what can you do about it? First, see if you qualify for a medical exemption certificate. Many conditions still allow you to get your prescriptions free of charge, even if you're under 66. Second, look into a prescription prepayment certificate, PPC. It's like a season ticket for your meds, and it could save you a lot of money if you're regularly at the pharmacy. And here's something many don't realise: the rules differ in Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, where free prescriptions still begin at 60 or even earlier. So if you've recently moved or you're helping care for someone across borders, be sure to double-check what applies. This isn't just about medicine. It's about staying ahead, staying informed, and making sure you're not overpaying for something you've always thought was free. And if this change surprised you, drop a comment below and tell us what age you think free prescriptions should start. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more must-know updates like this one. Number 3. TV license fees for over 75s. Think back to the days when turning 75 meant more than just another candle on the cake. It meant freedom, from fees, from forms, from the small things that quietly chip away at a fixed income. One of those perks: a free TV license. But not anymore. Since the BBC scrapped automatic free licenses in 2020, there's been confusion, frustration, and a fair bit of silence about who actually qualifies now. And in 2025, the lines have become even blurrier. Here's how it works now. If you're over 75 and receive pension credit, you're still entitled to a free license. But here's the kicker: nearly 1 million eligible seniors don't claim pension credit, either because they don't know they can or because the application feels like a maze. And without it, you're looking at £169.50 a year just to watch TV legally. This isn't just about money. For many older people, especially those living alone, TV is more than background noise. It's connection, it's company. And the idea of choosing between warmth, medication, or a familiar voice on the screen, that shouldn't be happening in a developed country. So if you or someone you care about is over 75, check the pension credit situation. The license isn't automatic anymore. You have to fight for it, paper and all. But once it's in place, it's yours. And if you're already paying but shouldn't be, you can actually get that money back. Yes, refunds are possible, but only if you know the system. The only thing worse than a fee is paying one you never needed to in the first place. Number 4. Social care cost cap. Let's talk about one of the biggest concerns for anyone over 65, the cost of social care. Whether it's home visits, nursing homes, or residential support, care isn't cheap. And for years, families across the UK have been draining savings, selling homes, or going into debt just to afford it. But in 2025, something big is finally happening. The long-promised care cost cap is here. Here's what it means. Starting this year, there's now a legal limit to how much you'll have to pay out of pocket for your personal care over your lifetime. That cap is £86,000. Once you've hit it, the government steps in and covers the rest. Sounds great, right? But there's a twist. That cap only applies to direct care costs, like help with washing, dressing, or eating. It doesn't cover accommodation, food, or utility costs in a care home. So even after you hit £86,000, you could still be on the hook for hundreds every month. And here's another wrinkle. Means testing thresholds have changed too. If your assets are below £20,000, you won't have to contribute at all. If they're between £20,000 and £100,000, you'll pay on a sliding scale. That's more generous than before, but still complex enough to trip people up. So what do you do now? Start by checking your local authority's social care policy. Know what qualifies as eligible care. And don't wait until there's a crisis. Plan early, ask questions, and make sure your savings and benefits align with the new structure. The cap may be a game changer, but only if you play the game right. Number 5. Digital will recognition. Wills used to be all about paper, signatures, and sitting in a solicitor's office. But in 2025, the UK has officially stepped into the digital age. And if you haven't updated how your will is written or stored, you might be left behind. For the first time, digital wills and video-recorded wills can now be legally recognized under certain conditions. That means a properly made video, where you explain your wishes and show your identity clearly, could stand in court. Sounds convenient, right? Especially for those who may find traditional legal processes intimidating or physically difficult. But here's where it gets tricky. A video or digital file alone isn't enough. The law requires clear evidence of intent, proof that you weren't coerced, and ideally, some kind of digital timestamp or encryption. If there's any doubt about authenticity, the will can still be challenged. And once that happens, your final wishes could get tied up in legal battles you're not around to fight. So what's the smart move? If you're considering a digital or video will, still consult a legal professional. Make sure your message is structured properly, includes all necessary declarations, and is backed up by secure documentation. Also, store it in a safe and accessible place, with clear instructions left behind for your family or executor. And if you already have a traditional will, consider recording a video explanation to support it. It's not a replacement, but it adds clarity and can prevent family disputes when the time comes. 2025 is making it easier to express your wishes, but only if you do it the right way. Your legacy deserves that protection. Number 6. Pension credit expansion. Here's some good news that's actually worth celebrating. Pension credit is expanding in 2025, and that means thousands more seniors could now qualify for extra financial support they didn't know they were entitled to. For those unfamiliar, pension credit is a top-up benefit for people on lower incomes. It helps bridge the gap between your actual income and the minimum the government believes you need to live on. And the best part? It opens the door to a host of other benefits too, like free TV licenses, cold weather payments, and even help with council tax and dental care. In 2025, the government has expanded both the income thresholds and the eligible circumstances. This includes seniors who are living with adult children, those providing unpaid care, or people with modest savings who were previously excluded. The aim is to ensure fewer pensioners are left behind. But here's the frustrating part. Up to 850,000 eligible households still aren't claiming it. And most say it's because they either didn't think they qualified or they found the process too confusing. Don't let that be you. Applying for pension credit can now be done online, by phone, or even through certain local support services. It's quicker than it used to be, and the application form has been simplified. Even if you've been turned down before, check again. The criteria have changed. A few minutes today could mean an extra £3,000 a year, or more, flowing into your household budget. When you've worked your whole life, you deserve a retirement that's lived with dignity, not stress. And pension credit, it's one of the most powerful tools to help make that happen. Number 7. Cold weather payments. Threshold change. When the temperature drops, so does your comfort, especially if you're watching every penny. That's why cold weather payments have long been a lifeline for low-income pensioners during harsh UK winters. But in 2025, the rules around how and when you qualify have changed. Previously, the system was simple. If the temperature in your area dropped below 0 degrees Celsius for 7 consecutive days, you'd automatically receive £25 for each week of cold weather. No applications, no forms, just a direct boost to help with heating costs. But in 2025, the thresholds and regions have been re-evaluated. Due to changing climate patterns and government budget reshuffles, some areas that used to trigger payments frequently have now been reclassified as lower-risk zones. That means fewer automatic payouts, even if it still feels bitterly cold where you live. And here's the kicker. Eligibility now also depends more heavily on your benefit status. If you receive pension credit, you're likely still covered. But if your income falls just above the line, you might miss out, even if your needs haven't changed. What can you do? First, don't assume anything. Check your postcode and benefit status online, preferably before winter hits. Second, consider applying for the warm home discount or speaking to your energy provider about hardship funds. These are separate programs that may help even if cold weather payments don't kick in. Winter shouldn't be a time of financial fear. But in 2025, staying warm means staying informed. Number 8. Energy bill support schemes. Let's be honest, energy bills in the UK have become one of the biggest stress points for pensioners. And with prices still unstable, 2025 has brought in a new wave of support schemes designed to ease the burden. But here's the catch. Many of these aren't automatic. You have to know they exist and take action. The government has introduced several updated and expanded support options this year, including a revamped energy bills support grant specifically tailored for older adults and vulnerable households. This includes one-off payments, monthly subsidies, and partnerships with major energy suppliers to offer discounted tariffs for qualifying seniors. There's also an updated version of the Warm Home Discount, now offering up to £170 off your bill, automatically applied to accounts that meet the new eligibility criteria. But again, it's not as simple as it used to be. The system now uses a digital matching tool based on income and energy usage, and some pensioners might fall through the cracks without realizing it. If you receive pension credit, you'll likely get support without lifting a finger. But if you're just over the threshold, you need to check your eligibility manually. Many households are missing out on hundreds per year simply because they didn't go through the steps. Don't forget, local councils are also receiving additional funding in 2025 to support winter resilience for seniors. That might mean vouchers, heating grants, or help with energy-saving appliances. Each area is different, so it pays to make a quick call. Help is out there. But in 2025, you have to reach for it. Number 9. Inheritance tax thresholds. Inheritance tax, it's one of those topics most people would rather not think about. But in 2025, ignoring it could mean leaving your family with a hefty, unexpected bill. And if you haven't reviewed your plans recently, the rules might have already shifted under your feet. Currently, if your estate is worth more than £325,000, anything above that may be taxed at 40%. That threshold hasn't changed for years. But here's what has. Property values have continued to climb, and more modest homes are now pushing everyday families into the tax bracket, especially in the south of England. Thankfully, there's a silver lining. If you leave your home to a direct descendant, like a child or grandchild, you could benefit from the residence nil rate band, which adds an extra £175,000 to your threshold. That bumps the total to £500,000 or £1 million for couples. But here's where it gets tricky. Complex family structures, gifts given in the last 7 years, and second properties can all reduce your exemption. And in 2025, HMRC is tightening enforcement and doing more digital audits. That means mistakes or vague records could lead to delays or unexpected tax bills. What can you do? It's simple. Review your will and estate plan now. Make sure it reflects current thresholds. Double-check how your property is owned, and consider professional advice if you have a complex situation. This isn't just about money. It's about peace of mind. Taking the time today means you leave behind clarity, not confusion, for the people you care about most. Number 10. Blue Badge Parking Access Rules. For many older adults, a blue badge isn't just a sticker, it's a gateway to independence. It means getting closer parking at the shops, easier access to appointments, and less physical strain on daily errands. But in 2025, the rules around who qualifies and where you can use your badge have changed, and not everyone's been told. First, let's start with eligibility. The Blue Badge scheme has expanded its criteria slightly this year to include more hidden disabilities and fluctuating conditions like arthritis or early-stage dementia. That's a big win for those whose conditions make mobility unpredictable, but it also means applications may involve more detailed assessments or medical input. Next, let's talk geography. While the Blue Badge is a national scheme, each local council enforces the rules slightly differently, especially when it comes to where you can park. Some areas have cracked down on free parking in busy zones, while others have introduced digital badge readers to catch misuse. If you're travelling across boroughs or into Wales or Scotland, it's essential to double-check the local policies. Also new in 2025, renewal reminders are no longer guaranteed by post. If your badge expires, it's your responsibility to reapply. Driving with an expired badge can lead to fines, and even points on your license in some cases. To stay protected, set a reminder for your renewal. Keep your documentation updated, and take 5 minutes to learn the parking rules of any area you're visiting. It's a small step that could save you stress, penalties, and long walks you shouldn't have to take. The blue badge system still works, but in 2025, you need to work it smart. Number 11. Fraud protection in digital banking. Online scams targeting older people are rising at an alarming rate. In 2025, seniors are one of the most targeted groups for digital banking fraud, and scammers are getting smarter, faster, and harder to trace. But this year, the law has finally started catching up. The UK government has introduced new regulations that require banks to reimburse fraud victims, but only under specific conditions. If you've been tricked into transferring money through a scam but acted reasonably and reported it quickly, the bank may now be legally obligated to refund you. That's a huge shift in power, from the scammers back to the consumer. But here's the fine print. These protections only apply if you follow the proper procedures. That means confirming suspicious activity immediately, avoiding ignored fraud warnings on your banking app, and not sharing security codes with anyone, even someone claiming to be from your bank. Another update in 2025. Banks are now required to share real-time fraud alerts across institutions, which should help stop scams from spreading as quickly. And most major banks are rolling out voice recognition and biometric ID options to make unauthorized access even harder. Still, the most powerful protection is knowledge. Be cautious with phone calls, texts, or emails that ask for any personal information, no matter how official they sound. And if something feels off, it probably is. Remember, fraudsters don't target you because you're careless. They target you because you're trusting. And that's why the new laws are on your side, but only if you know how to use them. Number 12. Housing benefit for pensioners. Housing is more than just shelter, it's peace of mind. But as rent prices continue to climb in many parts of the UK, more pensioners are feeling the pinch. That's why 2025 has brought important updates to housing benefit rules specifically for seniors, and they could make a real difference. The biggest change? An increase in the eligible income threshold. This means more people who were previously just over the limit can now qualify for help. Whether you rent privately or through a housing association, if you're on a low or moderate fixed income, you could now be entitled to monthly support toward your rent. The government has also made the process a bit more accessible. If you're over the state pension age and not receiving universal credit, you can apply directly through your local council. And for those already on pension credit, you may now qualify for an automatic assessment, meaning no extra forms, no back and forth. One key point to remember, even if you've applied before and were turned down, check again. The 2025 income thresholds and rent ceilings are regionally adjusted, so what wasn't available last year might now be within reach, especially in high rent areas. Also worth noting, this year's budget has allocated more funding to local discretionary housing payments. So if you're facing rent arrears or a sudden change in circumstances, your local authority might be able to step in temporarily, even if you don't meet every criteria on paper. Housing benefit isn't just a number on a form, it's the difference between financial struggle and breathing room. And in 2025, the safety net is a little wider, if you know where to look. Number 13. Travel pass rules. For many older adults, a free or discounted travel pass isn't just about saving money, it's about freedom. It means visiting family, going to appointments, or simply getting out of the house without worrying about the cost. But in 2025, the rules around senior travel passes have changed in ways you need to know. Let's start with the basics. In England, the older person's bus pass still kicks in at state pension age. Now 66. That's unchanged. But what has changed is when and where you can use it. Many local councils have revised the times during which passes are valid, especially in busy city areas. For example, some routes no longer accept travel passes during weekday morning rush hours, even if you're eligible. Meanwhile, in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, seniors continue to benefit from more generous schemes. In some regions, you can start using your pass from age 60 and even travel on trains for free or at a reduced rate. But again, each area is different, and cross-border travel may not be covered. Also new for 2025, some councils are moving toward digital travel passes linked to mobile apps or smart cards. While this is great for convenience, it's created confusion for those used to physical cards. If you haven't updated your travel card or registered your details, you could find yourself blocked from boarding without warning. To stay ahead, check your local council's website, confirm the rules for your area, and make sure your card or app is active and current. Travel should be empowering, not stressful. And knowing the new rules can help keep you moving. Number 14. GP access and remote healthcare rights. If the last few years have taught us anything, it's that access to healthcare isn't just important, it's essential. But for many seniors, booking a GP appointment has become a frustrating maze of phone queues, online forms, and being told, "We'll call you back." In 2025, however, the UK has introduced new legal rights around GP access, and they're a game changer, if you know what they are. One of the most important updates: you now have the legal right to request a face-to-face appointment with your GP, regardless of whether the practice prefers phone or video consultations. That means no more being forced into digital-only appointments if you're not comfortable with them, or if your condition genuinely needs in-person care. Remote services aren't going away, of course. In fact, they've been expanded with new requirements for secure, easy-to-use platforms and clearer communication. But the big shift in 2025 is about putting the choice back in your hands. You decide what works best for your health, not the admin behind the desk. Another important change: GP practices must now publish clear data about waiting times and appointment availability. This transparency is meant to help patients make informed decisions and hold clinics accountable if they're falling short. And for care homes or housebound seniors, mobile GP services are being expanded, with funding dedicated to reaching those who can't easily travel. Bottom line, 2025 puts more power in the hands of patients. So whether you prefer a screen or a seat across the desk, that decision is yours to make. And if your surgery says otherwise, you now have the law on your side. Number 15. Power of attorney and decision-making rights. It's something no one likes to think about. What happens if you can't make decisions for yourself? But in 2025, the laws around power of attorney, POA, have undergone important changes that every senior and their family should understand. A power of attorney allows someone you trust to make decisions on your behalf if you're ever unable to do so, whether due to illness, injury, or mental incapacity. In 2025, the UK has streamlined the process to make it faster, safer, and more accessible. That means no more months-long delays just to register your POA. What's new? First, there's a digital registration system now in place through the Office of the Public Guardian. It's designed to reduce paperwork and speed up approvals. Second, the process now includes enhanced fraud protection, with more checks to prevent abuse or coercion. But here's the key point: you still need to act early. You can only set up a power of attorney while you still have mental capacity. Once that's gone, it's too late, and your family may be forced to go through the courts to gain control, which is costly and emotionally draining. You can choose between a health and welfare POA, which covers medical and care decisions, and a property and financial POA, which covers money and assets. Many people set up both to be fully protected. Having these legal safeguards in place isn't about expecting the worst. It's about making sure your wishes are respected, no matter what happens. And in 2025, with the new laws in place, it's never been easier, or more important, to get it done. And now we want to hear from you. Which of these laws surprised you the most, or is affecting your now? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. If you found this helpful, check out our previous video packed with more vital updates every UK senior should know. We pour hours into research to bring you accurate, easy-to-understand content. Your support means everything, so please subscribe to the channel. It's just one click, and it helps us keep doing what we do best. In 2020, the average British household is spending over 60% of their income just to cover the basics: rent, food, bills. That's not survival, that's financial suffocation. And yet, nobody seems to have a straight answer to the most pressing question of our time. Why has the cost of living in the UK spiraled so far out of control? You're not imagining things. Your money really is disappearing faster than ever. One trip to the supermarket feels like a luxury outing. Heating your home for the winter, a borderline privilege. And let's not even talk about renting in London. It's becoming the stuff of horror stories. But here's what's really alarming. Behind this crisis isn't just inflation or supply issues. There are deeper, more unsettling reasons. Forces most of us don't even realize are shaping our everyday lives. This video unpacks 10 powerful reasons the UK is now one of the most expensive places to live in Europe. And trust me, some of them will shock you. What if I told you that some corporations are silently increasing prices even when their costs haven't changed? Or that government policies from years ago are still haunting us now? Stick around, because the truth isn't just surprising, it's personal. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why it feels like you're always broke, and what you can do about it. Number 1. Housing crisis. Let's start with what's draining most people's wallets faster than anything else: housing. In 2025, the average rent in the UK has shot up by more than 11% compared to last year. In major cities like London, Manchester, and Bristol, it's even worse. For many renters, affording a flat now means sacrificing basics like heating or groceries. And if you thought buying a home was an escape plan, think again. Mortgage rates have skyrocketed to levels not seen since 2008, pricing out an entire generation. Why is this happening? It's not just about demand and supply. The UK's housing shortage has been building for over a decade. Local councils aren't building enough affordable homes, and many of the existing properties are being bought up by investors, some of them foreign, who leave them empty or use them as short-term rentals. That's right, entire blocks in city centres now function more like Airbnb hotels than homes for actual people. Worse still, government schemes that were supposed to make buying easier, like Help to Buy, ended up pushing prices even higher by boosting demand without increasing supply. It's a vicious cycle, and ordinary people are caught in the middle. The result? A country where young people are stuck living with parents into their 30s, key workers can't afford to live near their jobs, and entire communities are being hollowed out by unaffordable rents and property speculation. And that's just the first reason why living in the UK feels like a constant uphill battle in 2025. Number 2. Energy costs. If you've opened your energy bill lately and felt your stomach drop, you're not alone. In 2025, the average UK household is paying nearly double what they did just 3 years ago for gas and electricity. And that's with usage staying the same or even decreasing. How did it come to this? After temporary price caps were removed in 2023, energy companies regained the freedom to charge market rates, and those rates have surged. Global tensions, supply chain disruptions, and reduced investments in renewable infrastructure have all played a part. But here's what's more shocking. Many providers are still reporting record-breaking profits, while millions of families are forced to choose between heating and eating. Energy poverty is now a real and rising crisis. Older adults, people with disabilities, and low-income families are hit hardest. Insufficient insulation in UK homes means heat escapes faster than your paycheck, making even basic comfort a luxury for millions. And despite promises of support from the government, many subsidies have quietly been rolled back or restricted, leaving people scrambling to cover costs. The impact isn't just financial, it's emotional. The anxiety of checking your meter, the guilt of turning up the heat, the stress of falling behind on payments. It's a daily weight on people's minds. So here's a question for you. Have your energy bills skyrocketed too? What sacrifices have you had to make? Let us know your story in the comments. And if you want more honest takes on what's really happening in the UK right now, hit that subscribe button. Your voice matters, and your awareness could spark real change. Number 3. Inflation and wages. Now let's talk about something that feels like a bad magic trick. Your paycheck shrinking without actually getting smaller. Wages in the UK have barely moved in real terms since before the pandemic. Sure, on paper some salaries have gone up, but when everything around you costs more, that so-called raise feels like a cruel joke. Eggs, milk, transport, clothes, even a basic takeaway is starting to feel like a treat instead of a norm. Inflation in 2025 isn't just a number the Bank of England announces every quarter. It's something you feel every time you tap your card. And here's the kicker. The official inflation rate doesn't even capture the full picture. The real cost of everyday life, the stuff people actually buy, is rising faster than the stats suggest. Meanwhile, many employers are using inflation as an excuse to freeze wages, citing economic uncertainty. And when people ask for pay rises, they're met with generic responses about budget constraints or market alignment. Translation: you're on your own. To make matters worse, interest rates were raised in recent years to try and curb inflation. That's great for slowing down the economy on paper, but for regular folks, it means credit card payments, mortgages, and loans are all more expensive. So you're earning less in real value and paying more just to stay afloat. This isn't just a money issue. It's a quality of life crisis. It chips away at your sense of stability, makes future planning feel impossible, and slowly erodes the hope that working hard living isn't just high, it's exhausting. Number 4. Brexit fallout. It's been nearly a decade since the UK voted to leave the European Union, and yet in 2025, we're still living with the financial aftershocks. For many, Brexit felt like a closed chapter, but its economic consequences are far from over. Here's the reality. Trade has become slower, more expensive, and more complicated. Small businesses that used to export seamlessly across Europe are now bogged down by paperwork, border checks, and new compliance rules. That means higher down to you, the consumer. Imported goods now come with added fees and longer delays. So whether you're buying fresh fruit, car parts, or clothing, you're paying more. And for British manufacturers, sourcing materials has become a logistical nightmare. This makes domestic production more driving up prices across the board. But it doesn't stop there. The UK has also seen a massive labour shortage, especially in key sectors like agriculture, logistics, and hospitality. With fewer EU workers coming in, there simply aren't enough hands to harvest crops, run deliveries, or staff service industries. Fewer workers means slower services, higher wages for employers to attract staff, and, you guessed it, higher prices for everyone. Brexit was supposed to give the UK control. But for the average household, what it's delivered is a reality where everything costs more and feels less reliable. And because these changes are structural, they're not going away anytime soon. While politicians debate the long-term benefits, everyday people are already footing the bill. Quietly, every single day. At the checkout, at the petrol station, and in the choices they're forced to make about what they can and can't afford. Number 5. Shrinking social support. Once upon a time, the UK prided itself on having a robust safety net. But in 2025, that net feels more like a threadbare rope. Universal credit, the backbone of welfare for millions, is no longer keeping up with real-world costs. Benefit increases have failed to match inflation, leaving recipients with less purchasing power year after year. And for many families, even qualifying has become a bureaucratic nightmare. Stringent criteria, long waits, and confusing systems mean that support often comes too little, too late. But the cuts don't stop there. Local councils, already stretched thin, have slashed funding for everything from childcare support to elderly care and community programs. Libraries are closing, after-school programs are vanishing, and mental health services have months-long waiting lists. All the things that once held communities together are quietly fading away. This shrinking safety net doesn't just affect middle-income earners are also feeling the squeeze. With fewer public services, more people are forced to pay privately for things that were once free: transport, healthcare extras, education support. And if you can't afford it, too bad. The gap between the just getting by and the falling behind is growing wider every day. For millions, it's no longer about living well, it's about just surviving. One unexpected bill, one missed paycheck, one family emergency, and the whole thing crumbles. A society without strong social support isn't just unfair, it's unstable. Because when more people fall through the cracks, everyone feels the consequences. Even those who think they're safe aren't. It's not just about money, it's about dignity, security, and the silent stress that creeps in when you know there's no one to catch you if you fall. Number 6. Council tax and local levies. Now let's talk about one of the most quietly devastating parts of the UK's cost of living crisis: council tax. In 2025, council tax bills are soaring across the country. Some local authorities have raised them by more than 10% in just a year. And while this might seem like just another number, for millions of households, it's the final straw. Unlike income tax or VAT, council tax hits everyone regardless of their financial situation. You could be living on the breadline and still be expected to cough up hundreds each month. Why the sudden jump? Local councils are broke. Years of government funding cuts have left them scrambling to keep a rubbish collection, road maintenance, local schools, and emergency services. So they do the only thing they can: raise taxes. But here's the problem: those tax hikes don't come with improved services. In fact, they often coincide with cutbacks. So people end up paying more for less. Bins collected less frequently. Libraries shutting down, public spaces left unmaintained. It's like buying a full-price ticket to a show and only getting to see the first act. On top of that, other hidden levies are creeping in. Parking permits, school meal charges, and transport fees have all been hiked up in subtle but painful ways. What's even more frustrating is how outdated the system is. Council tax bans are still based on property values from 1991. That means two people living on the same street might pay wildly different amounts just because of a valuation done over 3 decades ago. This isn't just a tax issue, it's a fairness issue. And as these local charges pile up, they quietly erode what little financial breathing room people have left. Number 7. Food price surge. You've probably noticed it in your weekly shop. The same basket of groceries that used to cost £30 is now closer to £50. And it's not because you're buying anything extra. In 2025, food prices in the UK have surged to record highs, and it's not just inflation to blame. A perfect storm of global and domestic issues is driving up the cost of what ends up on your plate. Climate change is hitting agriculture hard. Droughts, floods, and erratic weather patterns are making it harder to grow crops, both here in the UK and abroad. That means reduced supply and higher prices for basics like wheat, vegetables, and dairy. Even meat and eggs have become noticeably more expensive due to rising feed and energy costs on farms. Brexit also plays a continuing role. Importing food from Europe now comes with extra fees, transport delays, and logistical headaches. Perishable items like fruits and vegetables are particularly vulnerable, meaning more spoilage and waste, which adds to costs. And then there's the supermarkets. They're not just innocent middlemen. Many have been accused of passing costs straight to consumers while protecting their profit margins. Shrinkflation is everywhere. Smaller packages, higher prices, and less transparency. Worse still, food banks are seeing unprecedented demand. Families who used to get by are now relying on donations just to eat 3 meals a day. And for children growing up in food-insecure homes, the impact isn't just physical, it's emotional, psychological, and long-term. Food is the one thing we all need, every day. So when prices climb, everyone feels it, rich or poor. And for many, that weekly shop is now a source of stress instead of routine. A constant reminder of how the essentials have become luxuries. Number 8. Transportation costs. It's getting harder and more expensive just to get from point A to point B. In 2025, transportation costs in the UK are climbing steeply, and it's hitting both urban commuters and rural families alike. Train fares are up by more than 8% this year alone, and despite rising prices, services are often delayed, overcrowded, and underfunded. For many, public transport no longer feels like a viable or affordable option. But if you're thinking of driving instead, think again. Petrol prices have surged due to global supply disruptions, new environmental levies, and the weakening value of the pound. Even electric vehicle owners aren't spared. Charging costs have spiked as electricity prices continue to soar. And let's not forget insurance. Car insurance premiums in the UK are at their highest in nearly a decade, with insurers citing inflation, parts shortages, and increased repair costs as the main drivers. Parking charges in cities have also climbed, and low-emission zones are adding daily fees for many older vehicles. For people in rural areas, where public transport is limited or non-existent, these rising costs are even more punishing. Driving isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. But now it's a necessity that eats up a significant chunk of the monthly budget. Transportation isn't just about convenience, it's about access. Getting to work, school, hospital appointments, even visiting family, it all hinges on affordable mobility. When moving around becomes a financial burden, people's lives shrink. Opportunities disappear, isolation increases, and in a country already grappling with a mental health crisis, rising transport costs don't just limit freedom, they quietly contribute to deeper social fractures. The freedom to move shouldn't come at such a high price. Number 9. Rise of subscription living. Once upon a time, subscriptions were for magazines and gym memberships. Now, it feels like you need a subscription just to live. In 2025, the average UK household is juggling over a dozen active subscriptions, from streaming services and cloud storage to grocery boxes, pet food deliveries, and even laundry capsules. It's the silent drip, drip, drip of spending that's eating away at bank balances across the country. On the surface, these services promise convenience. Never run out again, they say. But what they often deliver is a loss of control. These micro-charges, often hidden in the background of our monthly statements, add up fast. £5 here, £9.99 there. Suddenly, you're shelling out hundreds every month on things you may not even use regularly. And companies love it. The subscription model guarantees recurring income for them, and it thrives on forgetfulness. How many times have you told yourself you'll cancel that free trial, and then forgot? But the trend is expanding beyond entertainment and food. Now, essentials like razors, toiletries, even baby formula are being sold on a subscription-only basis by some brands. What used to be a one-time trip to the shop is becoming a locked-in, never-ending billing cycle. Worse still, unsubscribing isn't always easy. Some platforms bury the cancel button in confusing menus or require phone calls during office hours to end your plan. This new way of living doesn't just affect your wallet, it shifts how we experience ownership and necessity. More and more, we're renting our lives instead of owning them. And in a world where everything comes with a monthly fee, financial freedom is quietly being replaced by financial dependency. Number 10. Corporate price gouging. Let's end with a truth that's as frustrating as it is infuriating. Not all price hikes are caused by inflation, supply issues, or global instability. Some of them are pure corporate greed. In 2025, many of the UK's biggest companies are reporting record profits, while consumers are tightening their belts more than ever. How does that add up? Simple. They're charging more, even when they don't need to. It's called price gouging, and while it's not always illegal, it's definitely unethical. We're talking about businesses raising prices far beyond what's justified by their costs. You've probably seen it. Products that are suddenly more expensive, smaller in size, or both. That's shrinkflation, the sneaky tactic of reducing quantity while keeping the price the same, or even increasing it. Food, toiletries, household goods, everything's fair game. Some brands are quietly removing items from multi-packs, shrinking bottle sizes, or swapping out